All right, good morning. Right. Couple of things. So we have a class on Wednesday, I think, right? On Independence Day, right? If you are really excited, do turn up here. Or join online, it's up to you how you'd come. But yeah, so we will do the catch-up class on that day. I'll just continue today. The other thing is some people wrote to me about this 24-hour assignment. They are very worried, apparently, whether it can be completed. So just for the sake of it, it is on the 28th of February, right? Month from today. Thank you. So the 28th of February. So you have classes on 28th. You will, obviously come on Saturday. You will have your full day class. And then therefore, I got to give you time to get home. So you finish around 4:35 when you get home. So I will upload on Saturday night, that is 28th night, the case study, and then 9 p.m. And then 29th, that is Sunday, 9 p.m. you can submit. Now, people ask, do I, 24 hours and all that? It's just a name, right? This case study can be done in 10, 12 hours. It doesn't take that much long. You just read it, go to bed, get up in the morning. You can start work on it, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. You have more than 12 hours to finish it. It's not a 100-page case study, just 2 pages. Okay. The other thing is submission 9 o'clock means 8:59, don't try to submit. There'll be 500 people trying to submit and the system crashes. So you've got to do it at least half an hour before start submitting, right? 9 o'clock, the portal will close. So if you try after 9 anyway, it won't submit, it won't load, right? So on the safety side, better to submit. Even if it is half done, better to submit half an hour before and not submit and get a 0. So whatever you can submit as soon as possible. The other thing is, don't email it to me. It doesn't get marked, right? Doesn't get marked. So sorry, sir, dog ate my laptop and all those stories I have heard. No point submitting after 9 o'clock. Don't email it to me. I know the stories that I can tell you 3, 4 stories if you want what you want to write on the email, but none of them will fly with me. Okay, so that's why I'm saying even if you have done it half, it's all right. At least you get half the marks, and then 0 marks. Right? So submit as soon as possible. Don't wait for the last minute. Okay. Any questions? People who are worried about it. I don't know why you need to worry about it. No. Okay. Then that's fine. That's good news. Because last night I was teaching the batch A, and there are a lot of questions. So I think you all are, yeah. Sunday to Thursday. Middle East time. Okay. So you better start Saturday night. Sunday morning you can finish it. 12 hours. And anyway, you will be starting around 11 or something, no? 11 or 12 Sunday. Middle East 9 o'clock is what? Or even if it's 8:30, it's about 11 here. Yeah. So plenty of time. More than 12 hours. No problem. Because I had to do it on a Sunday. I'll tell you why. Last time, I gave it on the Poya day, which was a Thursday or Wednesday. Okay? And what I was told is that the IT and the BPO environment guys and, they work on Poya days. So then, obviously not fair, right? So that's why we moved it to a Sunday. Understand your problem, but you still have some time to complete before you start work. And what time do you finish? 6:30. Again, you have another 2 hours after that. Okay, and you take your lunch break, full 1 hour. It's all about managing. Okay. All right. Any other question? By the way, all these dates are not, I plucked from the air. It is already in your outline, okay, course outline. So it is not something that I came up with it yesterday. Right? It is already there before the course started. It was there in December onwards. So nothing that suddenly turned up. Okay. All right. Good. So let's make a start. So that was that. The other thing is a simulation. That is, I don't know when whatever date I put is what it is. We will do that. And that is also, I think, for you on the 28th. I can't remember. That also, just check on the outline. All right. So that you need to physically attend. You can, right? Saturday. Yeah. So that you need to attend. All right. So let's move on since there is no further important questions. Right. So last time we closed with a Gantt chart. We looked at Gantt chart. We looked at CPM or CPD diagram. We looked at how to do a WBS, and we closed at that, right? So then we went on to see what other softwares available. These are just a sample. There are a lot more softwares available now online, especially with AI built into it, which is fairly useful, actually. I tried one or two of them and quite clever. So you will find it easier if it is available online. Okay. Right. So that was all we discussed last time, all about time planning. Now let's get on to the next stage of things, which is resource planning. Right. Resource mean, in this case, resource means people. Resource means a lot of things. It could be technology, it could be equipment, it could be all other things, that material and so on. But here we are talking about resource, the number of people needed for a project. Now, if you take an example here, the extract of a PPD diagram, you will see that activity A is saying needs 2 weeks with 2 people, 2 full-time employees. FTE is full-time employees. Then activity B says 3 weeks and 2 full-time employees. Activity C says 5 weeks and 4 full-time employees. So then obviously you have these 2 dummy activities coming into play. Now, before I start, somebody asked me what is a dummy activity, right? So let me just quickly tell you what is a dummy activity. So you have an activity, let's say X, paint the wall. Okay, 3 weeks. That's a dummy activity. That's a normal activity. Now then it says, hang the picture. Or whatever it says. Right? Now, what's wrong with this? Once you paint the wall, you need to leave enough time for it to dry. Okay? So, what we have is wait to dry. Why wait to dry? It doesn't cost any money. So you have to wait. So it's nothing for you to do during that period. So that gets built into the project. If you don't build into the project, then you are assuming that you can straight away do the next part, which is hang the picture. So when, and we will be doing an example of a dummy activity, when a activity doesn't require any attention, but it needs to be left to do whatever, that is an example of a dummy activity. And we will be doing an example on that later on. So that's just for clarity, right? So coming back to our resource planning, so we have this situation where we have the A activity, B and C starting at the same time. That's important, right? Starting at the same time. So this is a number of resources required, as you can see from this diagram at the bottom. is that if you take A, activity A requires 2 weeks, that is your timeline 2 weeks, and requires 2 people, right? So that is A, 2 weeks, 2 people. If you take B, it takes same time it starts here, takes 3 weeks and 2 people. And if you take C, again, starts at the same time, takes 5 weeks, and it requires 4 people. So if you look at this, the total number of people required at any given time during this period, provided they are full-time seconded to the project or given to the project, is 8 people. 8 full-time people are on the project. So the cost to the project is 8 times 5 weeks, 40 man weeks. No matter what, you got to pay their salary or you got to pay their wages. But if you notice here, this is the time wasted or resource wasted. So they're not doing anything. And you don't want that situation in a project. You don't want any wastage. So what we call is optimizing resources. Optimizing the resources. Now, what does that mean? Is that you start with the highest number, which in this case, 4 people, 5 weeks, C. Then you start A, same time, 2 people, 2 weeks. And bring B down here. After A finishes, you start B. Again, the 2 people, and it takes whatever the period that is defined, 3 weeks. So what you are doing here is that you are bringing B down, you are adjusting the program so that you are saving 2 people worth of time. So 2 resources. So you are saving 2 times 5, 10 man weeks. That's what you're saving. This is called optimizing resources. Now, what's wrong with this? What do you think are the problem with this? No problems? Oh, there is problem. Are you all angry with me or anything? Okay, 24 hours, I'll make it 25. Okay, fine. Don't get stressed about this 24 thing. Okay, 25 hours. Okay, 10 p.m. Right, now friends? Okay, now tell me what's wrong with this. Please. First problem, you are assuming B can start after A finishes. Whereas in the diagram, it says it has to start at the same time. First assumption. So that's one. Yeah, what else? Look at the people. Let's say A is plumbing, B is electrical. What this assumes is the same people can do the job. Of course not. You can't. So what you have to do is make sure it's contracted so that this portion is done by somebody and then this portion is done by different. But in this case, we are assuming full-time employees, same people can do this job. Second problem. What else do you see? The skill set, right? Again, everybody has the same skills. That's what this assumption is. The example we are going to do assumes that. Okay, so we'll come on to it. So this is called optimizing the resources. Of course, we are doing this to save money. Now, here is a way you optimize resources, and this is a real example which I'm going to do in a minute. So this tells you where we are in terms of the resources, 31 people at a given time. And then you are optimizing to reduce it to 9 or 10 people. So saves the project some money, right? And I will do this in a minute. So here is a simple example, optimizing resources. Given here cost per a day per resource is $10. A to F is the activity. So transport sand, build the boundary wall, lay grass, fix the gate, lights, and paint the wall. These are simple activities. Now here it says, so starting with A, you have 2 days, 3 people given there, right? And so on. So you have 10 days of worth of work, and each of these has been given as the number of people. So for example, if you take week 5, it requires 7 people. But if you take week 6 to 10, it takes only 1 person. And this is not a good situation. So if you count the staff level, the maximum is at week 5, and these two are next to it. So we want to try to reduce that. So the cost, if you just take it as it is, it comes to $300. So the 7 staff, if you take them on a full-time basis, is permanent cost will be 7 staff, which is your highest number, into $10 per day per resource, into 10 days, $700. Now, if you were to optimize this, you say, okay, can I do activity C and D later? So after A is complete, transport the sand and cement. B start, build the boundary wall, lay the grass and fix the gates, right? Maybe that can be done together. So what we are waiting is, we finish for the boundary wall to be finished. Then only while E is going on, which is fix the lights, we do C and D, which is lay the grass and fix the gate. So then you can move those two down here. Now, if you look at it, you need only 4 people. And the cost becomes 4 into 10 into 10, which is $400. But what you must remember is that area under the graph, whatever shape it is, it remains the same. Whether you draw it like this or whether you draw it like this, area under the graph remains the same. If you start reducing the area, then of course you are crashing the project or crushing the project. Okay, right. Here is an example. Don't worry about the resource part. I will come on to that later. You do the CPM diagram for this. So that means you only need to look at time and independence. I'll come on to resource and do that in a minute. Please note this as dummy activities. Right? 10 minutes and do the CPM diagram. This is very similar to what your 24-hour assignment will be. So that's why I'm giving it to you to give it a try. Wait a minute. Kau lah ni mati lo benar ni. Tu kau lah ni bagian ni paling dekat aku. Di. Kalau aku tadi pak. Oh, betul betul. Itu ada micro computer. Oh, ya no. Ada gitu. Dan itu kamu jangan deh. Oh, oh, apa yang ada? Kalau gue itu udah itu yang seperti no, kalau interest kan no, anak kayak gini menado ini kata kayak kopi, soalnya ini ada interest lagi nih ke benar, ini mana seperti oh ada ini saya kerjain, ya no, pengen kali pun itu nanti, karena ada itu, ya, betul. Setelah itu dia ada negatif comment dari tidak lainnya. The biggest node I ever seen. My goodness. Well, some of you are trying, that's good. Some of you are waiting for my answer. That is also okay. Rest of the week. Assignment. Last time is the class. Okay. Well, at least trying, that's good enough for me. I love this innovative drawings. Lovely innovative drawings. New CPD diagrams. Brilliant. All sorts of branches coming out of it. Wow. Good, very good. What is 1W? What is activity? A, B, why are you putting activity inside the note? My goodness, new methods are really encouraging. I might actually start writing a book using your methods. Wow. Well, nobody has done it. Now you have done it. Repeat. You've done it. Yeah, where's the calculation? Weeks. Hiyo. Now I am worried. This should be a piece of cake for you. Now, we have done so many examples. Okay, where's the calculation? Number of weeks, I need to know. Done. Lost. 1 week gap and finish. When you try, you know the mistakes you are making. So please try, because you see how complicated it is. And I'm telling you, assignments are not this easy. Done? Can I see it? Okay. Good. Okay, don't worry if you can't do it. I mean, we are here to put it right. Just the innovative ones, I don't know what to do with. Right. Another 5 minutes and we're going to start. Okay. Shall we start? All right. If you are not sure what you are doing and you want some help, when I am doing it, don't do it. Follow me. Right? If you are not sure, first follow me. Then you can write the note. While I am doing, if you're writing the note, you are not absorbing. Okay? Right. Let's go. Activity A to I is there. A, do a market survey in zone 1, market survey zone 2, or zone 3. Right. And so there are 3 activities not dependent. So start A, B, C. Yeah. Many people did like this. All projects have only one start. You can't start 3 times. And all projects only has one end. You can't end 3 times. So then they did something smart. They said, start. Well, I suppose it's okay but that's not the plan, right? So always there's only one start. Okay. Now, activity A, 2 weeks. A, 2 weeks. B, 2 weeks. C, 2 weeks. Now, all these three are not dependent on anything. So it has to start from start. Okay, right. Then we have, forget about the resources for the time being. A1, give the data to analysts, give data, give data. So A1, B1, C1 is after ABC. So activity A1 is after A. So activity A1 is after A, and it requires 0 time. Activity B1 after B and 0 time. Activity C, 0 time. Done? Right. Then activity D, okay, I think we are going to have a problem because I used up a lot of space. Give me a minute. Sorry about that. C2, okay. Now A1, B1, C1, 0 time, so it's obviously dummy activity. There's no time involved. Zero time, yeah. Now, D, analyze the report. So A1, B1, C1 has to complete before D can start. Yes? No. You can't have 3 Ds. 1 D. Right? So stick to 1 D, one activity, one error. Some people are using node as the activity as well. That is wrong. If you're doing that, use PERT. Right? So D is after A1, B1, C1 complete. Then D can start. 1 week. Correct? No. Thank you. So all these are dummy activities. Right. Then you have D done 1 week. E is not dependent on anything. Go back to start, and it requires 2 weeks. So we have E starting from here. E starting from here, and it is 2 weeks. Then F is after D. So F starts here after D, and that is 1 week. G is after E. All right. G is after E, and that is 2 weeks. G1 is after G 0 weeks. G1 0. H is after E 10 weeks. H after E 10 weeks. Sorry, after E. Right, H is here. After E, H 10 weeks. It doesn't matter whether you draw it up or further down. It doesn't matter. H. Then you have I after F, G1 and H is I, which is 1 week. Finish. All got this? I saw variations of this. Lots of variation. First of all, I don't want to see any curves. And we saw like diagrams going up and down and like a project life cycle type of thing. All that is wrong. Right. So this is the difficult part. Rest, you should be able to calculate. Right. So let's start. Forward pass. Starts from 0. 0 plus 2, 2. 0 plus 2, 2. 0 plus 2, 2. 0 plus 2, 2. I'll give you some time to write later, okay? 2 plus 0, this is a junction. I know this shouldn't be a solid line. Just write it up. So it's a junction where we will have 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. We take 2, the largest number, in this case also. Come back. Here we have 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 0 is 4. Again, it's a junction, so we will keep the 4 out. 2 plus 1, 3. 3 plus 1, 4. Keep it out. Then here 2 plus 10 is 12. So you take 12. Plus 1, this one is correct? Yeah. 30. Yeah? Yes or no? Okay. Let's do the backward pass. Thirteen minus 1, 12. 12 minus 1, 11. 11 minus 1, 10. 10 minus 0, 10. 10 minus 2, 8, junction. 10 minus 0 is 10. Minus 2, 8. 10 minus 0, 10 minus 2, 8. Twelve minus 10 is 2, but it's a junction. Let's keep it out for the time being. 12 minus 0 is 12. 12 minus 2 is 10. Take the smallest number, which is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. Take the smallest number, 0. If these two are the same, you know the numbers are correct. Now let's look for the critical path. The numbers has to be same. Sorry. So your critical path would be E, H, and I. And your project time is 13 weeks. Your non-critical path, there are many. Just write it here. Non-critical, you will have A, A1, D, F, I. The I won't come. You have the other one, which is B, B1, D, and F. You have C, C1, D, and F. Then you have other one, which is in the middle, G and G1. Right? I'll give you 5 minutes to write it down if you want. We're going to discuss this in a minute. So this is not the main part of the question. This is just the early part of the question, but I'm interested in the resource diagram. You think you can't do this, or you think you can manage? Hey, Ravi, මේගොල්ලන්ට බැන්න දුදේ. Huh? I hear a lot of people are doing the assignment outside. What is the assignment due? Well, some assignment is due, right? Whose assignment? Whose assignment is due? No assignment? Oh, so people just go for a walk. Did I make a mistake? Possible. Yeah, 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 yeah. H. Yeah, that can connect to the chain. Yeah, okay. That's a good question. Okay, so there's a question. Just watch this. There is a question why I have connected H as a critical path and why not either F or G1 path. Okay. If it is critical path, always remember the activity will have the numbers on the node 0. It won't be a difference, the start and finish. Now, if you take this path, for example, this path and this one, right? We take only that part. There is a difference of 8 weeks. Therefore, the activities before and the activities after can be adjusted. Non-critical. So the difference of 8 can be added to, the entire thing can be added to this, because this is 0. There's nothing for you to do. So the difference of 8 here, even if you add it here, right, plus 8. So now it's a 10-week, it's taking 10 weeks. So now 2 plus 10 is 12. It still doesn't affect the project. Same here. If we take this one, there is a difference. So activity before and activity after can be played around with. You have, here you have 8 difference. So you can use that for any of these activity to distribute the time, because it doesn't affect the project, because the critical path is this one. So always look for the difference. If there is a difference, the activity before and activity after can be adjusted also. All right, shall we move on? Move on? Well, this is okay, right? Right. Now this is just a basic calculation. Now let's look at what does it mean in terms of resource diagram. Okay. Just for completion, I'm going to put some resources here. A requires 6 people. A1, 0. This is 6. This is 6. 0, 0. D is 1. E is 2. E is, sorry, 3. F is 0. I don't know why I made it so complicated, to be honest. G is 4, but it's fun. G1 is 0. H, 4. And I is 4. Okay. So that is the number of resources for each of these activities. Now we want to do this into a what we call a grid or resource grid. Now, don't worry about copying this, taking photos and all that. I will give you time. Just follow me, right? So now we have this, we have the critical path diagram. One thing we are 100% sure is the total number of weeks in this project is 13. That doesn't change. That we are sure. It can't be 14, it can't be 12. Right. So how do you plot this into a graph? Now, okay, this is the diagram itself, fine. Now, here, this is actually an exam question, okay? So please follow. Here, I have done a grid. The horizontal axis is number of weeks, that's time. Vertical axis is the activity, not resources. Activity. People put resources on the vertical axis. That's wrong. Right. So what I have done here is that I have put the number of weeks as 13 because we know that is for sure. Can't change. Activities also we know from top A downwards. Now, people sometimes do A upwards. That is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So what I have done here is that I have taken the resources and I have put it here. That's all I have done. The trick to get this right is to do the critical path first. Right? Please write that down. The important element in resource diagram drawing is starting with the critical path first. Otherwise, it goes all over the place. Okay, so you start with the critical path. Okay. Now, in this case, the critical path is E, which is this one here, H, and I, the critical path. So let's go here. Assume this is all blank. E requires 3 people for 2 weeks. E requires 3 people for 2 weeks. But it starts from 0. So then it has to start from 0. So that's the first thing you put. 3 people, 2 weeks. Then you go on to next one, which in this case critical path is H. H requires 4 people, 10 weeks. Fine. So this one finishes. Start here immediately. H. 4 people for 10 weeks. So then there's 2 plus 10 becomes 12. Right. Now, next part, the final part, I requires 4 people 1 week. So I, which is on the critical path, requires, once this is finished, requires 4 people for 1 week. 13. So now the critical path resource is done. Now, what is so important in that is that you can't change anything in the critical path. That's why we do that first. Right. Now we come back. Now we say, okay, the critical path is done. Now let's say we are going to do the others. We start from the top. A requires 6 people for 2 weeks. So go to A, and remember A starts from 0, B starts from 0, and C starts from 0. So A, B, C, 6 people, 2 weeks. Then next one, A1, B1, C1 does not require any people. But still you need to leave it blank. I'll tell you later why. So A1, B1, C1 doesn't require any resources. Try not to put 0 there. We will see why in a minute. Then you go on to D. So D requires 1 person for 1 week. That can only happen after A1, B1, C1 is completed, only D can start. So you go back here, at the top, you will say A1, A, B, C finished. Now A1, B1, no requirement. Therefore, you put 1 here. Because that is after A1, B1 or A, B, C completed. This doesn't require anything, you put 1. Now, if you had put 0 here, 0, 0, 0. If you had put 0 here, your 1 will move here. That's why we don't put the 0, because when you are doing it, it can confuse you. Right. Now D is 1 after A1, B1 is completed, which is same as ABC, and D is 1. Done. Then E, no problem. That is part of the critical part. We are not worried. Now, if you notice F, that's a small problem here. A1, B1, C1, the time was 0 and the people were 0. Whereas in the F, time is 1, people is 0. So then you got to account for that 1 week. So therefore, if you see in F, after D is over, we put the 0. Because that 1 week is inverse. So F finishes at 3rd week. You need 1 more week for the task to finish, even though it doesn't need people. Now you see why it is not a dotted lines. And these are dotted lines. This is not a dummy activity. You may say, okay, so if it doesn't need a resource, why are you putting it there? Doesn't matter. It could be whatever. But it requires 1 week. So you need to put the 0 there. Then only the next task you will start properly. Right. Now F is done. G is here. 2 weeks, 4 people. Now G is starting here because on this diagram, we'll come to optimization later. On this diagram, G is starting immediately same as H. So what happens here is that wherever H starts, G has to start for 2 weeks. Even though it is on the non-critical path. We'll come to optimization when things will change. This is just a basic diagram. So H and G has to start at the same time. That's what it shows here. So G takes 2 weeks. Now that's done. That leaves us with only the G1. Now again, G1, if you can see, is 0 and 0. Doesn't require any indication. H, we have already done. That is part of the critical path. 4 weeks into 10, or 4 people into 10. Then finally, HI, which is 4 people into 1. Now, once you have populated this, then you do the total. Right? You do the total. Now, you don't need to do the total this way. You need to do the total this way. Now, what does this tell you is that at the bottom, the total, it says 21, 21, 9, 8, and 4. It tells you that week 1 and 2, you need 21 people. Week 1, 21 people, week 2, 21 people. Then week 3 onwards, 9, 8, and then so on. This tells you the resources required per week. If I were to plot this, so this is cumulative at the bottom. If I were to plot this, the resource diagram will look like this. So week 1, 21 people, week 2, 21, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way 4. So that assumes your total resource at any given time, or if you were to hire, you need to hire 21 people. Okay, right. Let me go back and give you some time to write this down or take photo or whatever if you have to, and notes if you have to. Because we are going on to the optimization next. This is just a basic part. Okay, so some of the rules here, I just repeat the things to remember. Number one, this column, the y-axis, is activities and not resources. People make a lot of mistake on that. Number two, if it is dummy activity, where there is no time involved, you leave it blank. Number three, there can be an activity that requires time but no resources. That is going to be indicated as 0. And then when you start populating this, always start with the critical path first. Any questions? You want me to repeat anything, please tell me. But so first rule is you must have y-axis activity. Second rule, you must have, when you start drawing, start with the critical path. Third, if it's a dummy activity, you don't need to put anything, 0, not even put 0, just leave it blank. Fourth, if the activity has time, but resource is 0, then must indicate that. That is activity F, for example. Okay. Right, let's move on. I have planned a lot more fun stuff for you. By the way, this is only 30 minutes question in the exam. Well, you can take 1 hour if you want. That's up to you. I'm not going to worry about that. But 30 minutes. Right, let's move on. So this is the easy part. But as you know, I'm generally a nice guy. Yes, you can call. This I don't ask, because drawing the graph is not required. It is important in the project planning, but for exam purposes, I won't ask you to draw a graph. It takes a lot of time. So you can take a photo of this if you want, but you are not required to. I mean, this is a simple graph. It's a bar chart, right? Right. So this is how we are at the moment. Now we want to optimize this. How do we optimize? Now that's the important part. Again, don't write anything. Listen to me. I will give you time. Now, what we have said here is we can't do anything with the critical path. So we are going to leave it as it is. We are not going to touch that. That you can't do anything. So now we look at it. And if you, let me just go back for a second. If you look at activity A, B, C, do a market survey in zone 1, 2, 3. So now the question is, let's say zone 1, 2, 3 is Gampaha, Nigambu, and let's say Colombo. Now, question is, can I manage with those people, the 6 we put here? Can I use the same people across? So if I go send 6 people to Gampaha for 2 weeks, after they finish, can the same people go to Nigambu and the same people then come to Colombo? Do they need a different skill set? No, the same skill set. So what we are saying here is that we can give this data first for them to analyze, then do the survey and give the data, then do the survey and give the data. So we move the people, same 6 people gets moved. Then after that, if the A1, B1, C1 happens, then I can do D1 after the C. So C finishes here, then I can do D here. Then after I done D, I can do F, which is the 0. Again, I have to put the 0, otherwise I don't know where it lies, and it does require 1 week. But A1, B1, C1, we don't need to worry about. Then, of course, E and H and I, nothing I can do. G is there. Now, G here requires 4 people, 2 weeks, and G1 after that. Now, these 4, what is activity G? Recruit staff. Okay. So G is recruit staff. Now, G, it starts after E is completed. So E is completed, and G is starting here. So I put the 2 4s there. It requires 4 people for 2 weeks. So now, if you do the total, so I've done a couple of adjustments. Now, if you do the total, earlier we had 21, 21, 9, 8, and so on. Now I have a new number, which is 9, 9, 14, 14, 10. So now I know I don't need to hire 21 people for the week 1 and 2. I only need 9 people. Then maximum I need at any given time is 14. And thereafter, rest of them as it is. So if you calculate man hours, you will notice that it is much cheaper to do it this way. Now, some people ask me the questions, G, can I move it further? Yes, you can, if you want. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. So, for example, if you want to move the G to these 2, again, it will become 14. But if you were to move here, maybe it becomes 9, and so on. But remember, the activity also is important. If you are going to recruit, in this case, recruitment of staff, you need to start early on. so that they can give enough notice and then come and join you. So you can't start the 4 somewhere here. So you need to be clever in sort of thinking, what is that activity? And do I need to give enough time for it to be done? If I then take this and plot the graph, the orange one is the previous one. Now I have the green graph, which is the optimized graph. Now I know I can manage with 14 people. Okay, right. Again, I'll give you a few minutes to write this down or whatever you need to do. Okay. And I don't know whether you want to have a picture of this. If so, do take a picture of that as well for completion. All right. Let's move on. Any questions before I move on? Because I'm only doing one example of this. Right? Please put a red mark and keep it. Okay, don't worry about the graphs, okay? Right. Let's move on to other topics. Okay. Now, let's just do a bit of discussion. What are the things you think is important for a project to be successful? If I ask that question, let's say for 5 marks, how do you make sure a project is completed successfully? from what we have looked at all this time, not only today, what do you think are the most top 5 things? Anybody? Yeah. Project objective. Yeah. So first of all, the project scope. You need to define the scope. Remember that old diagram we had about a father trying to build a swing. If you don't get the scope right, you're going to do all sorts of things. You're going to waste money and time. So scope is important. That leads to the project charter. So most important thing is to get the charter right. What else? Project leader. So we got to have the right project manager with the right skill set, the right characteristics. He must have experience. We don't want somebody like what we had in the Sydney Opera House. What else? You don't tell me that word, I'm going to be so disappointed. Okay, resources, yeah, we need to have the right resources. Budgeting, right budgeting. Planning. You've got to have the right planning, realistic plan. Plan. If you don't have the good plan, if you don't have the right plan, project will drag. You saw what happened to Sydney Opera House, right? You don't have a plan. Just waste of money. So planning is very important in a project. Okay. So here I have given some other important elements. So project plan, number 1. There's nothing can beat that. Planning is very important. Communication plan. We saw the important on the Airbus A380 stakeholder management and communication. Risk plan. We will come on to risk plan in next class. Resource plan and optimization. That's what we looked at today. Budget plan. We will look at that next week. Purchase plan, week after. That is procurement planning. Delivery plan. Right. Then stakeholder management. We looked at that. MI will be the last class. Documentation, issue logs, meetings, lessons learned, and so on. These are just some of the items that is important to get a project right. But the most important thing, the first one, planning a project properly. And people spend a lot of years planning a large project. Means, let's say the project is going to take 5 years. They probably end up using about 2 years of that just for planning. Okay, right. Let's talk a little bit about sustainability. Green projects. Now, it is important when you do a project to consider the green part or sustainability part. Now, if you remember, first of all, why people don't include that in a project? What's the issue with sustainability? Cost. Sustainability increases the project cost. And that's why people don't like it. Maybe 30, 40 years ago, maybe you all were not even born or whatever. Sri Lanka started under Premadasa 200 garment factories. Right. People opened factories. They were given subsidiaries and it was subsidized to build. Where do you think they built these garment factories? I know it's before your time, but sorry? Free zones were not there at that time. Rural areas. So they went to the villages. Right? They, rather than villagers coming to the town, they took the factory to the villages. Correct? In village, where did they build it? What's the most important element in garment industry? I know the clothes and all that things. Yeah, okay. Material, manufacturing and all that. What is the most important thing they do? Labor, okay. water. Garment factories requires tons and tons of water. So where did you think they built the village, the factory, sorry? Near a river. If you go to any of those 200 old factories, it's always near a river. They used to take water from the river. They use for a lot of washing and cleaning and chemicals and all that. And then they dump it back in the river. I'm talking 40 years ago, right? So what happened? All the fish started changing color. And children and adults were eating colored fish. They were consuming. So that became an issue. Because the fish obviously drinks the water that is dumped into the river. That then ends up in the sea as well. And the fish was drinking that colored toxic water. And we were eating that. So your parents definitely would have had that. You would have seen they're a bit dodgy sometimes. Right? So that happened. And that was not fun. So then, because there was no sustainability in Sri Lanka 40 years ago. There was not even that word, nobody even know how to spell. Then they brought in the rule, not Sri Lanka brought in the rule. The purchasers, Nike or whatever people, they brought in the rule, the garment factory must have sustainable manufacturing plant. That means the labor has to work only X number of hours. You can't hire child labor. You can't dump water into the river, and so on. Not that we Sri Lankans thought about it and did it. They implemented that rule. So we had to change. So then thereafter, Tulliria and all these plants that was built by Maas, Hydromani, whatever, they had to use reverse osmosis, RO plant. So what they do is they do take the river water, they use it, they put it through the RO plants, they clean it up, and then only dump into the river. The process is still the same, but they have to have sustainable method. And that costs money. So any project that is done in the BOI or whatever has to have a RO plant. That was brought in about 20 years ago. So when you're doing a project, like building a factory or wherever, warehouse or whatever, it is important to consider the environment. Right? Why? Because we have only one Earth. And we need to make sure that we don't leave it destroyed. So when you, whatever project you do, whether it's construction, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is hospitals, whatever it does, the waste has to be managed. Okay. So that component needs to be built into a project. So I gave an example in the exam as well. You know, a project like manufacturing has been planned in Sri Lanka. More than manufacturing, I think it was a hotel that was planned in Sri Lanka next to the beach. How do you make it sustainable? Can you tell me, how will you make it? A hotel in a, let's say, Bentota, you're building a hotel. How do you make it sustainable? What are the elements you will consider? The first best sustainable hotel was built where? Handalama, right, by Atkins Spence, Baba's project. So when you build a hotel, you need to make sure that the waste is managed. In a hotel, what is the biggest thing? Waste. Second, water, washing every night, washing hundreds of sheets and hundreds of towels and all that needs to be. Where do they dump it? Back in the river or back in the sea? You can't. First, you must clean it. You must filter it and then let the water go. Otherwise, what happens? The farmers will end up having this water in the soil. And then we are going to eat that. But there are ambitious plans like Elon Musk is doing. What is he going to do with the waste? Let's take an example. Now, everybody talk about EV cars, electric cars, battery cars. Is this good or bad? You don't even know that. Yeah, your biggest issue is in 5 years' time. Today, Sri Lanka, no problem. All BYD cars are coming, all these electric cars are coming, excellent. In 5 years' time, when those batteries run out, you need to replace them. What do you do with the battery? That gets replaced. Now you have lots of BYDs and this and that coming. What do you do with those batteries? Because it will be dead. It's not for life, right? What do you do with this battery? Remember that battery has lithium in it, mercury, all these chemicals are inside the battery. What do you do in 5 years' time? Have you even thought about it? Has the government thought about it? No. We will think about it in 5 years' time when the issue starts. So what do you think they will do with the battery? Just matter of interest. Right? So why can't we dispose? Other countries okay to throw the rubbish? Like what's the Haley's brought, what's that? Some medical waste, right? Haley's imported. Who is at Haley? You are at Haley. Which section? No, plantation. What did they import? Medical waste. Not sure. So what did they do? They imported 300 tons, 300 containers or whatever number, I don't know. They imported medical waste from another country. Just exactly what you're saying. I think medical waste or whatever waste it was not. So we bought it. So whatever the country that sent it, I think it was UK if I remember right, they sent it to us and they paid it. We were happy to take it because we wanted the dollars. Now what do we do with it? Nothing. We don't know what to do with it. We wanted the dollars, send it. Now we have 300 containers with waste in it. Sri Lanka doesn't even have a proper incineration plant. Only proper, there's only one. So you're right. Other countries do send waste to another land to dispose, but we are not solving the problem. Correct. Some other countries have built facility to dispose that. And they not only dispose it, they make electricity out of it. So what we are going to do in 5 years' time when the batteries start piling up, no country will buy from us because we can't afford to pay those countries. What we will do, we will dump it into the soil somewhere, dig a big hole and put it in there. Or we will go and dump it in the sea. And what will the fish do after 10 years? It will all start leaking. We will start eating, your children will start eating mercury, lithium, and other chemicals. So we have no proper disposal method. So these are sustainable issues that you need to be aware of when you're doing a project. Now, what the government should have done is to impose a disposal cost to donkey, the importers. Every car you sell, yeah, reserve some money. That needs to be used later. But we don't think that far. What is Elon Musk going to do? He is going to send the batteries to moon. So he's going to take all these batteries. He has proposed that he will send it to the moon. Move the problem from other planet to another planet. Wonderful, right? That's how we think. Right. So the point I'm trying to make here is sustainability has a cost. And any project you do, you need to consider that. You can't ignore it. Okay. Move on. Right. Next point. When we draw a CPD diagram, I put 2 weeks. Why is it 2 weeks and not 5 weeks or 7 weeks or 10 weeks? Why do you believe it's 2 weeks? So this comes from experience. So we have, when you are not sure of something, we have a method to calculate that. So in the CPM diagram, we call it optimistic, most likely, pessimistic, and expected. And we use a formula, expected equal optimistic plus 4 times most likely plus pessimistic divided by 6. Right. Now, why do we use this formula? Is that if you see this activity here, A to B, so we are saying optimistic is 3, that is, we can do it faster. Pessimistic is 7, it will take 7 weeks. And most likely it will finish in 5 weeks. So people say, oh, the average of this is 5. Yes, the average of activity A is 5. But if you look at B, optimistic is 2, pessimistic is 10, most likely is 3. So that is not average 4. I mean, that is not average. Then you get the expected value 4 through this formula. So where do we come up with these numbers? So if you look at a critical path diagram, just like how you did, remember that Singaraja project you did. Some did it in, I don't know, 200 rupees, some did it in 1,000 rupees. Some did it 300, 400, like that. This is exactly that. So, what is the difference between optimistic and pessimistic and most likely? Optimistic, you take the maximum risk. Maximum risk. Pessimistic, you take the minimum risk. And most likely is the right path. I'm not saying average, but it's a right path that comes from maybe some experience. That's why in this formula, we give a higher weightage for most likely. So if we take, for example, in the case of B, 2, 3, and 10, which is give you 4. And if you plot the graph into optimistic 2, pessimistic 10, most likely as the peak, which is the 4 times. Your expected value is above that, which is 4. So it is not only the most likely, it will say maybe give it some more extra time. The people, the statisticians in this group will know what this graph is. I'm not going to get into that, but we use, when you are not sure, we use, and then we calculate this expected value, and then that is the value we will use. So in this case, for example, we will use, in the case of B, we will use 4. And that's how we derive at this particular number. So when you're not sure, this is how you do it. So if the project sponsor comes and says, no, I want it fast, you can say, I will do it at this time. I can do it this, but high risk. Maybe I need more money. You say, no, take your time, then you go with this. Okay, but the right way to go is this, what we call the expected value. Right, that's just one little point. Yeah, 45 minutes. Okay, let's move on. Key challenges faced by a project manager. Now, why do I put these things? Is that not for anything else? But these are what I call the 5-mark questions, just to fill up the space. Now, somehow you have to pass, right? So we need to give something to write. In case you can't do the CPD and all these things, at least write these things. These are all, there's no right answer. Just write anything you want, right? But make sure it's something to do with project management. People write their life story also. Not. You must read some of the assignments that I get. Wonderful. I'm not sure how they got into the MBA program. That's a completely different Ranapura problem. But wonderful. Wow. And then I had to find a way to pass these guys. Otherwise, the director will call me. Right. So project manager always faces problem that I can't, that any project manager has this issue. This is just some of them. So lack of cooperation from the team. Then you have a problem. We'll come to talk about that under HR. Lack of fund, like we have seen in the Sydney Opera House. Mismatch, like we saw in the case of communication gap. Stakeholder pressure, do it faster, cheaper, pressure. Lack of resources, again, a big problem. Then, like say, for example, if there's only limited resource, you've got to fight time for that. Unrealistic target, we have spoken about that many times. Media, biggest culprits, and we will have, you saw that what happened in the A380. Motivation and give up. The team may give up, they are so tired, and a project is not an easy job. That's why they are, but most project managers get paid a lot of good money, but not the projects I'm doing. Right? I get the cheapest projects. Quality, big issue. When things fail, people come back to you. Right? And I'll show some examples later. Unplanned events, weather. How do you address that? When the flooding happened, how did projects that address that? Or when the tsunami, or when other crises that happened, how did we address that? So these are all challenges a PM will face. Right. Enough of my talking. This is 2017, I think, exam paper. Simple question. As I told you, when I give a question, I normally put little tricks in it. 1 or 2 tricks. The main reason is that I don't want everybody to get 25 out of 25. Because then I will be called again to question. Right? So I have to give some people 24, 23, and so on. I can't give 0 because then you will be here next year. So I put little tricks. If you have understood, you will have put it right. Otherwise, 20, 21, 22, and you are through. This is a 25 marks question. First part, A is 10. All the others are 5 each. Right. I'm going to give you 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. You're going to do this. And I'm going to come around and help you. Unfortunately, this is the last question we will be doing on CPD. So if you don't get it right here, we need to spend some more time. So please try this on your own, but not in your group or in your neighbors. If you make a mistake, absolutely fine, no problem. Ask me. This question has 3 tricks in it, so 3 marks will be lost by most of you. Right? Good luck. Whatever you do, please only put 1 start. Please try. This question should be in your notes, is it, or is it not? It's there, right? Okay. For some reason, Group A offers me biscuits, chocolates, huh? Bribes. Huh? Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, I thought they were being nice to me. They were saying bribe. Okay, I better not take it then. This group, nobody eats anything. That's the problem. When I walk around, normally people offer. Any help? Anybody? Please call me. Final example you will do. Okay, good, very good. Well done. See, finished in 5 minutes. That's what I like to see. Excellent. Great. At least somebody has drawn the start. Excellent. Okay, very good. Okay, yeah, good. Excellent, very good. Sure, this is a good batch now. Right, very good, excellent. This is easy for you. Okay, then 25 is going to be a problem. No dummy activities are there, so don't start nonsense. Cost. Start calculating the cost, please. What's happening here? Okay, but then what do we hear? You just stand and wait or what? What's the activity? What happens here? What's the activity? And these arrows we put, but nothing there. Because you are putting the activity on the node. Don't do that. Then you will get mixed up. Activity is all about arrows. Yeah? Okay. Okay, good. All right. Cost, please. Cost. What happens here? What is activity? You can't have it blank. Okay, looking good. Hold on. Okay, all right. Okay, cost. What's the cost? Don't draw the diagram and look at me and wait. Will it take notes in the diary or? No. Yes. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. Right. Good. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Only 2 weeks. That's right. But if you were, let's say you hire the entire staff, right, in one go, then maximum you need to hire is 21. So the idea is we don't want to hire 21. Maximum you want to hire is 14. Yeah, that's right. That's the whole purpose. If you are doing on contract basis, if you are in an organization, you can't do that. No? You take the team to do a project, they're all assigned, they are just seated there. So what you want to do, you don't want to have 21 people seated there because that's a cost to you. You would rather have 14 people seated there, so then the cost comes down. That's the whole purpose. Yeah, but if it's construction and all that, contracting, you bring people, send people, then it's okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, gosh. Same mistakes again and again, which is actually surprising me. Okay, have you all got the cost? That's the main thing I want. The CPD all are experts, I know that. Cost. That. Okay. You got 12,500. Okay. We're still working on it, fine. working unit, right? Anybody done the cost here? No? Okay. Okay, let me make a start. I think the 20 minutes is up. You are most welcome to follow me, or you are most welcome to copy me. Either way is okay with me. All right. Now, when I get a question, first thing I do is what? I don't read this part. Makes no difference to me what is in there. I only need to know this and these two. For me, it doesn't matter. Makes no difference. Don't waste time reading it. Okay. So, activity A, 2 weeks. I'll be going a bit fast. By the way, you can see the green, or you want to change color? Okay. Right. Activity A, 2 weeks, done. Not dependent. Activity B, C, and D are dependent on A. That's fine. B, C, D dependent on A. That is 4, 3, 2. Okay, most got that right. E depend on B, okay. E depend on B, 2. F depend on C. F depend on C, 6 weeks. G depend on D, 1 week. G depend on week, 1 week. So far good? Right. H depend on E, F, G completing, okay? E, F, G completing is H. New method. And then what do? They do this. Then they don't know what to do with this. So they put H1, H2, dot lines. All sort of magic happens. Why is that? I told you last time. It's because you all do one mistake. And please, if you are doing this, please write this down. Because you complete the loop. You draw this circle. That's why you go wrong. Nothing else. Don't draw the circle. Okay? Leave it open. Then it's easy. Now, H is after E, F, G is completed. E, F, G completed. I have somebody drew like this and kept, which is not so okay, right? H. Okay, H is E, F, G completed. Fine. Then I is after H. I is after H. 2 and 1 and end. Okay, right. All that is good. So let's start. Forward pass 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 4 6. 2 plus 3, 7. 2 plus 2, 4. D was 2. Right, thank you. Five. 6 plus 2, 8, junction. 5 plus 6, 11. 4 plus 1, 5. Take the largest number, 11. 11 plus 2, 13. 13 plus 1, 14. Project time, 14. Backward, 14 minus 1 is 13, minus 2 is 11. 11 minus 2 is 9. 11 minus 6 is 5. 11 minus 1 is 10. Nine minus 4, junction, so keep it out. 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. And 10 minus 2 is 8. Some people took the largest number. Smallest number is 2. 2 minus 2, 0, correct. Critical path, where the numbers are the same. Double dash. Critical path, A, C, F, H, I. Non-critical, B, E, and D, G. Okay. Good. Done. Right. Now, question A, Lisa has turned to you to help to construct a CPM, do the critical path, estimate the total cost of the project. Do a forward and backward path, calculate time of each activity and total time of the project. So, we have done that. Now, we need to calculate the cost, which is the easy part. Cost, total cost has been given. So, 800, 0, 300, another 300, 1,100, 5,000. No, it's 50%. So it's 10,000, 0, 0. $12,500. Correct? Why you guys don't trust me? Am I that bad? I'm a decent guy, actually. You can trust me. When I say correct, say no. What's wrong with this? I don't care about activity. That was one of the tricks I put. It doesn't matter what you say here. What you are doing is total cost. When you book a venue, you go to pay 50% advance. So what? That's an activity. Take a check for 50%, go and pay. Nothing to do with the cost. Right. So, $5,000. So, total project cost is 7,500. Yeah, correct? Yeah. Wrong. What happens Lisa's cost? People miss that because now that is all forgotten. The first paragraph is completely forgotten because so much stress in the exam. You all think we are, oh, CPD, I'm done it, 10 marks, 100%, I'm okay. All rubbish. Lisa's cost is not there. And you can't calculate Lisa's cost without this number. The first line is forgotten. So, marks lost. 7,500 plus 14 into 100, 1,400. Your total cost is 8,900. Correct? Now is correct. Yeah, right? That's the answer we need. So 8,900 is the cost. Please don't make that mistake. Right. Who thinks they can't get 10 marks for it? So this is not writing where I can deduct marks. It's not. Pure calculation, drawing and calculation. Simple, right? Straightforward. So 10 marks done. Now, next one is what is critical path. Explain what is critical path in the project. So show the critical path of the project which you have done. How Lisa can shorten the time taken to this project if required, reduce the project if time taken to reduce. So first of all, what is critical path? It's the shortest longest time. Critical path is the longest time in the project on the critical diagram, not the shortest. Longest time in a project. Number two, what is critical path? It's the path where the activities cannot be delayed. Number three, critical path, you identify when the forward and backward path gives you the same number. That's it. Done. Show the critical path in this project. Done. These are shortened. How can she shorten the time? How can she shorten the time? Give some examples. She can crash the project. Number one. Right. Bringing the entire project down by putting more resources, maybe. Right. Or what else can she do? See where the activities can be distributed, the milestones. For example, can you see between the non-critical and critical? Can you adjust your resources there? Or can you look at the activities and see the time? Please note, I have not read the activity list yet. Doesn't matter to me. So you can write anything you feel, how you can shorten the time. How do you speed up a project? Right? Better planning maybe at the initial stage. And so on. 5 marks, just to write something. Third, explain the slack time in a project and how she can organize her schedule without affecting the total time. So we know the total time is 14 weeks. That's no issue. We can't do anything with that. But slack time of 6 weeks, slack time of 3 weeks. So activity B and E has a slack of 3 weeks. Activity D and G has 6 weeks. So the question is, explain what is slack time. First of all, explain what is slack time. It's the time, extra time available in a path, in a critical path, not in a critical path diagram, extra time available in the activity. In this case, B and E has 3 weeks, D and G has 6 weeks. That is what a slack time is. And what can you do with that? You can distribute that time along the path. So for example, D and G, if you have 6 weeks, these 6 weeks can be used anywhere between D and G as long as the total adds up to this. Moment you go beyond that, you are changing the critical path and hence delaying the project. Right? Up to now, okay. Right? So in this case, there are 2 paths that has a slack time. Any questions so far? All good? Right. Now let's move on. So who can't get these 20 marks? Easy, right? Right. Now the final one I know you haven't done, but forget that. Explain 5 possible risks associated with this project and how Lisa can mitigate these risks. Anybody wants to copy this? Done? Okay. Right. Tell me 5 risks. Now this, the final part, nothing to do with projects. Now I want to read what these activities are. Oh, design the workshop, send email, prepare agenda, search venue. So now I know what they are trying to do. So what are the risks then? Just tell me. Okay. Venue not available. You can search, but venue not there. What else? Send email confirming the date to SLT, senior leadership team. Some unable to attend. Cost. Cost may be overrun for whatever reason. Print workshop material. Printer not working. What else? You can keep going. CEO doesn't approve the final agenda. He's not happy with it. These are all project risks. How will you mitigate? Not available venue. Okay. Start early. Before you decide the date, first find the venue. Reserve it. Some unable to attend. Get CEO to send a letter, all must attend. Cost overrun. Build in miscellaneous or extra possible cost. Printer not working. Alternate printer. Identify. Keep it ready. CEO doesn't approve agenda. Get agenda approved first. Now, you don't need to come for my class to know that. Now, next part, forget all this. You don't know these things. Fine. You forgot to read the activity. Fine. You have no time to read. What would you say? Risk. You don't even know what this project is. You had a glass, something going on, some conference. Okay, fine. What would you say? Nothing to do with the project. When you catch fire on the day, COVID hit the country. Strike. Whatever. Tsunami came. CEO died. Possible, right? Say whatever you want. These are all risk. Nothing to do with this. These are all risks we identify in a project before we start. Yeah, you think it's a joke, but when we go to risk, you will realize that how important this is. So you are unable to identify risk from here, no problem. Think of your own risk. Outside disaster. That's it. There are also risks. Okay. So anything is possible. You just need to know what to write. And you mitigate whatever you want. Have a second venue ready, or move the date, or COVID hit, then do online conference, or strike, make sure that is you have agreement with the hotel or your staff. Tsunami, well, good luck. CEO died, well, nothing you can do. Have a 2-minute silent and start the program. What else? Right? It doesn't matter. Some of them look silly, but that's all right. That is all you need to identify this. If I were to do this, there will be about 100 risks I would identify. All are risks. Right? Under risk management, we will look at that. Correct? All right. Any questions? Put your hand up if you can't get 25. Done. I done my job. And one more question, you are through. 250 is enough. 225, 50 is through. Then write some revision, you are through. Right? This is easy, gentlemen and ladies. Very easy. No complication at all. Okay, I'm not here to fail you at all. I just want you to pass and move on. Okay, so this is the type of question you will get. All right, next week we will do costing.